Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Luke Dhume and this is the 8th episode of the Luke Dhume Show. You may notice a little bit of change of scenery. That's because I'm going on a trip this week. And so it'll be a bit of a short show, but we're still coming to you, giving you the updates about the news and especially about the Iran war this week. Another thing, you may notice that I'm not in the same clothes. I wanted to feature new shirt, okay? I think it's like $17 or something like that. You can get it. You go to like Noli Timi or something like that, and the link will be in the description. You go click on it, and then click on catalog, and get one. We're gonna have more stuff coming out in the coming weeks and months. So yeah, make sure you get that. So basically, the update about the Iran war. Last time I talked to you, we were in the middle of a ceasefire, and we were about to do the peace talks in Pakistan with J.D. Vance and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. And they went to Pakistan. J.D. Vance said it went really bad. And then there was basically a ceasefire announced for the next couple of weeks. And now it's Wednesday evening. I think it's like the 20-something. I can't remember what the exact date is, but we're still in the ceasefire, but the Strait of Hormuz is closed again, okay? So there was some traffic going through for a while, but then Iran decided to close it because the peace talks weren't going well. And the United States also, another reason they decided to close it because the United States implemented a blockade. So Iran's boats aren't getting through either. So almost no traffic is going through the Strait of Hormuz at this time. Excuse me. And so, yeah, the United States is blockading, and they're telling every ship and saying, hey, you better turn around or prepare to be boarded, basically. And that's kind of how it's going right now. And so there's really not that much to talk about. I mean, at the morning, they'll be like, hey, we're ready to invade. We're ready to bomb them. We're ready to start up the conflict again. And then in the evening, they're like, oh, we're going to extend the ceasefire indefinitely. That's what Trump said, because he's waiting on other Arab nations to come together and present, a deal to the United States on the behalf of Iran. But right now, we're just kind of waiting on everything to happen. We don't really know what's going to happen. The United States has increased the force posture in the Middle East. There's up to 50,000 United States servicemen there right now, ready to deploy. There's 3 aircraft carrier strike groups there right now. Countless other ships and aircraft all ready for a ground invasion or continued bombings. Who's to say what's going to happen? Nobody really knows because, there's an indefinite ceasefire, but there's all kinds of force posturing going up. And the messaging changes by the hour. You really never know what's going to happen because, like I said, half the time it's talking about continued peace or like a ceasefire or something like that. And then half the time it's talking about we're about to bomb them again. Half the time Iran's like, we're not coming to the table. We're not making a deal. We got a bunch of non-starters. And then half the time, Iran's like, oh, well, maybe we'll go and negotiate. But right now, I think that more peace talks are happening. Like, J.D. Vance was supposed to go back to Pakistan, but I don't think he ended up going. I don't know if he's scheduled to go back there. It's hard telling. And, yeah, that's pretty much all that's happened in the news right now. There's some other stuff going on, but I'm not going to get into it just because I don't really have the time. And so, yeah, that's kind of your update. The past 2 weeks, it's been honestly kind of boring. Like, in a good way, of course, because, I'm sitting around, I'm like, dude, we're not really bombing them right now. I mean, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but, I mean, the effects, at least for us, are minimal. It's higher gas prices, but they're starting to go down. I mean, inflation's going to rise, but we don't feel the effects right now. And it's kind of like, a semblance of normality, and that's always kind of a good feeling. You're like, the summer, it's getting kind of warmer, and you're just like, man, things are starting to look up. But you got to remember that the United States is just poised to go right back into this conflict at any time. It could really happen at any time. The Oh yeah, one of the big problems, like one of the big non-starters for Iran was that Israel kept bombing Lebanon, and there's been like, thousands and thousands of people displaced, thousands of people killed, innocent civilians and everything else. And Iran's like, hey, we're not even going to negotiate if you can't control Israel. So, you can't control Israel, so we're not going to do it. And because the reason Israel is bombing Lebanon is because, in especially southern Lebanon, there's the terrorist group Hezbollah, and that is a proxy of Iran. They give them funding and munitions and everything else. And Iran has said, hey, we're not going to stop funding them. And Israel's like, hey, we're not going to stop bombing them. But it seems right now that Israel is entered into a ceasefire. I think it was like a 10-day starting out, but that was like 5 or 6 days ago. So we'll have to see how that goes, because Iran said they weren't going to even start if Israel didn't stop bombing southern Lebanon, and it seems like they've stopped right now. We're gonna have to see how peace talk goes. Could go either way. If there was a United States invasion, I've already said in previous shows that it would be a complete disaster, most likely. And the United States is trying to they're posturing as if they have control of the Strait of Hormuz, because they're not letting Iran ships through. And I guess in that way, there's a little bit of control, but how sustainable is that? You know what I mean? Iran actually has a sustained control of the Strait of Hormuz because they can really control it indefinitely. And that's kind of the difference between the two blockades and stoppages and, not letting passage through the Strait of Hormuz, is because, it's going to get more and more expensive, especially when ships are really wanting to go out to keep the blockade up. It's going to get more and more expensive, more costly for the United States. Iran can keep their control literally forever, because all they have to do is, when somebody doesn't pay them all the money, all they got to do is blow up the ship, and that's easy for them. So we're going to have to see what happens. Trump said that the B-2 bombers blew up all the nuclear dust or something like that. And, I don't know exactly how enrichment of uranium goes, but I don't really think that's how that works. I think that they're trying to dig up all their enrichment sites and everything during the ceasefire. They're obviously reloading. They say that they're reloading and going to be back stronger than ever. That's what Iran has said. So, again, if the United States targets the bridges and the civilian infrastructure and all of the power plants and stuff like that, then Iran is just going to blow up all the power plants in the rest of the Middle East, and it would be a total global recession. One good thing about, things that are happening right now, especially with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, is that there are reports that say that more and more countries are going to the United States for their oil, and that's good because United States companies and the United States nation as a whole is making more money. So we'll have to see the full impacts of that. But right now it's it's like I said, it's been kind of boring in a good way. There's really not that much to update on. It's much of the same. If anything, it's gotten more peaceful, because at the beginning of the ceasefire, because last time we talked, I'm pretty sure Trump said he was going to blow up the whole civilization. This was right after Easter. And J.D. Vance was about to go to Pakistan on Saturday, and I filmed on Thursday night. So it was like 2 days after the blow up the civilization, 2 days after, the temporary ceasefire, and a couple of days before the first round of these new talks that are happening in Pakistan. But, it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks since then, and not really much has changed, except Trump has announced an indefinite ceasefire. And the United States is obviously rearming during this time. Trump has said that plenty of times. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But, for our reading or whatever today, we're going to go to Matthew chapter 7. This is right after Jesus got done speaking the Sermon on the Mount. This is right at the end of it, the end of the Sermon on the Mount, which is like the most famous sermon ever preached, and like there was a Harvard professor that said that all other ethical teachings are basically footnotes to the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount is Matthew 5, 6, and 7. You should really check it out. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. It's Jesus' like first major sermon that he said, and it's probably the most famous. There were thousands of people there, and yeah, it's recorded in all 4 Gospels, but I think in Matthew it's done the best. Or I wouldn't say done the best, but like it's the most quoted, I'd say. So Matthew chapter 7, starting in verse 24, it says, "Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine," speaking about the Sermon on the Mount and stuff, "and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these things of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And as the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it. And it came to pass when Jesus had said all these things, these people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes." So Christ is basically saying that if you listen to what he says, but not only listen, if you do what he says and implement, the teachings into your life, then it's like your house is built upon a rock, and when the winds of life come and all the problems arise, then you've already, you've got this, and you've got what he said to keep your life and keep what you have strong. Because if you build your life and like you build your your personality and who you are on something futile and fleeting, like if you have your career, your job, you could lose your job, right? You have relationships, your relationships could end, or somebody could die. If you of course you have it on like a house, your house could burn down. If you have it on a car, your car could break down. But the one thing that is like really eternal is like your faith in Christ and Jesus himself. And if you build your life on the things that he has taught and who he is, then you have something that will never ever leave. Like your relationship with Christ is something that will never ever leave you, no matter what happens. It can't be taken. And so that's because like he's eternal and he beat death. And if, like I said in the last show, if you believe on him, then you will have life in eternity. And so yeah, that's basically like the whole message of this little passage right here. Is like it's like building your house on a rock, because it's not going to move and it's not going to go anywhere. And bad stuff may happen, but ultimately, if you have something that's eternal, you have something that's secure. And I feel like a lot of times it's what we're all chasing, is like something that we can have faith in, something that we can have security in, something that we can lean on and depend on even in our worst and darkest times. And that's what you find in Christ, and that's what you find in your relationship with him. So if you don't have that relationship, I suggest looking into it. It's the most important thing or whatever. But yeah, shirts, they're very nice. They fit great. I like them. These colors are nice. The fonts are pretty cool. There's a few people have bought them that they really like them. It's really nice material. It's breathable. It's soft, and yeah, it's fashionable. All these nice, beautiful colors and stuff like that. So yeah, get you one. It's Noli Tierme Timir.store.com or something like that. The link will be in the description. But you go to catalog and it's like $17 and some change, and a little bit more for shipping. But yeah, it'll come fast. It'll come in a super great packaging, and yeah, it's really cool. So make sure you check it out. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on the things happening in Iran. Make sure you follow me on X at Luke Dhume. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Luke Dhume. Make sure you follow me on here. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts, what you think will happen in the next coming weeks, especially when it comes to Iran. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you.